Hello, Peter Hewitt, la-artistino. Today we're going to revisit this lovely lady in the Swedish colouring book Dagdrommar. If you remember, recently I did a video showing you how I coloured the lady's face. And as promised, I'm going to show you now how I go about doing her hair. Now there are many different ways to colour hair. I'm just going to show you an easy way, which is one of my favourite ways, and I think it looks quite effective. First of all, you choose your colours. Decide what kind of colour hair that she has. Now you can go for natural colours, browns, blondes or brunettes, redheads, or you could go for fanciful colours. You can make it blue or purple or pink, but the principles are all the same. You will need to pick the main colour of her hair, and for this purpose of this particular demonstration today, I've decided I'm going to choose the polychromous colour called Sanguine, which is number 188 in your polychromes. It's kind of a orangish brown colour, and if I demonstrate, this is what it looks like. Now you can choose any other main colour that you like. I'm just going with this one. So once you've got the main colour chosen, you want to choose lighter colours and darker colours around it for your lighter areas and your shadows. So what I've done, and I'll show you in a gradient, I'll start off with the Sanguine there. And this is a good way to test out to see whether you like the choice of colour gradients that you're going to use. Start off with your middle colour, and then for a lighter colour I've gone the terracotta. This will all be polychromous pencils. The terracotta looks like this. It's a kind of a yellowish brown. And I can blend that in as a nice transient. And as the brightest parts of the hair, I'm going to do a dark chrome yellow, which looks like this. It's a very goldy yellow. You can see now where I'm going with the gradient. And I'm not sure if I will, but if I want some really light highlights, I may use my ivory, which looks like that. Now to go darker for my shadows, I'm going to use my Indian red, which looks like this. And as you can see, that's a nice darker shade of that. It looks more bluish and darker. And for the very deepest shadows, I'm going to use my walnut brown, again with the polychromous. And that looks like this. And this will only be for the very darkest shadows, the very tips. And there you have a nice colour gradient. So let's begin. First of all, we're going to look at where the shadows and the highlights are going to appear on the hair. Now I'm looking at doing a band of highlight going down the centre of the hair here, so that the colours will be on either side as going down to the darker colours and to the shadows. So the highlights will be here. There'll also be highlights on the curves, the longer sections of this hair, just to give it a little bit of dynamic so that it looks like as the hair sort of is wavy and rippled, it's catching the highlights and the high points and the shadows down at the low points. There'll be highlights down this side as well. And the shading I'll be tucking in around behind the face and around behind the flowers. See this band of hair here? It's one bit that's going over the top of the serpent, and there's another piece that's going underneath the serpent. So you would highlight here and you would shadow the bit underneath to show that it's underneath, and the highlight on top to show that it's on top. Anyway, let's begin. I'll show you what I mean. I'll start with just a little layer of the ivory. This is going to be a bit hard to see, but if you just follow where the pencil's going, I'm making this fairly light because I don't want to push down the tooth of the paper just yet. I want to be able to put the other colours over the top. So here, now this is where this band is above it, so I'll put this little highlight a little bit further back down here, just to show that this clump of hair here is separate from that clump of hair there. And these little bits just need a little bit of a highlight on them too. Probably a little bit of a highlight on this one, but not going all the way to the edge here. More highlight here. And on a little bit there, and on this clump behind. Think of, in pictures like this, think of the clumps of hair as ribbons, and sort of you're colouring separate ribbons. That will sometimes help you to visualise where the highlights and the shadows should be. Okay, that's that side, and now we'll go down here a little bit. I'm going to have a band of highlight just in here. So I'm just loosely putting the first little layer on. And along this side as well. There's no real defined clumps here. It's all sort of like one wave of hair. So I think I'll just run the highlight straight up the middle. Next, I think I will use my main colour, and I'm just going to block in loosely where the main colour will go. So basically between where I've done the highlights and where the shadows will be. I'm not pressing very hard at this point because I don't want to finish it off just yet. I'm just putting in everything where it's supposed to go so I can see if I'm happy with it or not. At this stage, if you apply your pencil lightly, you can still erase if you don't really like the way it's come out. And it should erase enough that you can go over the top with something different. Even as I just add this colour, you'll begin to see the effect that you're getting with the shine and the colour on either side. We'll be doing some more blending later with the other colour, the in-between colours between sanguine and the ivory, to give a nice gentle transition between the lights and the darks. As you can see, I've only very loosely put the colours out because I just want to get the idea of where everything is. I'm not finishing it just yet. Now over on this side, you can see that the hair kind of becomes the background of where all this floral and mushroom patch is. Now I won't bother about going through there just yet, because what I will do is darken the edges of the hair here and do a colour transition into the background colour that will be behind. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'll just leave it at that border there, and we'll continue on with the hair itself. Next, I'm going to take my darkest colour, and that was the walnut brown, and I'm going to add, just start placing where I want all the darkest shadows to be. I'm not going to make them very dark to start off with. As I said, I just want the feel of where they are. So that'll be around the border of the face, and you don't want this too dark, or else it'll sort of blend and merge in with the face, and you want that reddish auburn look of the hair, or whatever colour hair you've chosen to show through. So where I'm putting the shadows is where the hair curves away from you, such as on this edge here, or where the hair hides behind something, like it's going in behind all these mushrooms here. Here it's curving away from you again, so add a shadow. And in here I'll probably shade this quite darkly and turn this into a greenish colour for the background. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't really know what colour I'm going to do the background just yet, but that'll come to me as I'm working. Whatever it is, I can just do a colour transition to it, so it'll probably be either a greenish colour or a nice sort of neutrally dull red, dull browny red, or something along those lines. Not sure yet. Sometimes I see a picture and straight away I know what colours I want to put where, and other pictures is just a bit of an exploration. It'll evolve as I'm working on it. Sometimes I am a bit confused about what to do with a picture, so I create a colour plan beforehand, which means I loosely kind of sketch out vaguely, not a tight drawing, but a very loose drawing of what the picture is, and I throw down big splashes of colour so I can get an idea of where to put it. I do that with my own drawings and more advanced drawings and colourings, but for this purpose, where I'm just relaxing, I'm going to just let the colouring take me where it wants to go. And this isn't tight at all. This is very loose and sketchy because I will be layering over the top of it to tighten it up. And I'm not using hardly any pressure at all. I'm just gliding the pencil over, just leaving the lightest impression of the walnut brown. Give it a little bit of a shadow behind her earrings, remembering that the light on the face is coming straight this direction, which means it's the same direction it's hitting the hair. As you can see, I'm adding the darker areas underneath these little locks of hair here. Again, thinking of them as a ribbon, ribbons laid over each other. The ones underneath will be dark, directly underneath. The ones on top will be lighter to bring them forward, to make them feel like they're on top. Around the edges again as the hair curves away. Here where it goes behind the serpent's body. Lock that's passing over the top. that's coming underneath, so that'll be dark as it pokes out from underneath that top lock of hair, and it'll go dark again as it goes underneath the serpent. So where the hair is twisting over here, I'll just make it darker at the points, and then a little highlight in the centre and dark again at the tip. Down the bottom here, I've decided, as you know, to put a highlight here and a highlight here, and this is where a shadow is going to be in the center, so I'll just lightly put that shadow in. And again right at the tip here. Some shading in behind the foliage here. A bit tricky working it all in these tiny little bits, but we'll get there. Just along her neck too. Right, now you can see it's only very lightly blocked in, but you can already get a feel for the shape of her hair now, where the highlight is and the shade. Now we're going to build up on the colours now and give it a really rich feel. So I think we will start with, I'm going to go with the terracotta. I'm going to start merging where the colour, the sanguine colour, which I've picked as the main colour, merges in with the ivory. Again, going very lightly. Now that I've blocked out the main part of the hair, we'll just concentrate on a small section at a time and finish that and move on to the next section. So here I am, just putting some of this lovely terracotta just on the border of where the sanguine meets the ivory. And as you can see, when it crosses over onto the ivory, you might note that it turns the terracotta a nice sort of bright orange yellow colour. Now it makes it glow a little bit, so it looks like it's a glow of highlight running along the hair. Now I'm going to move on to the sanguine and I'll deepen that so you can start to see, blending it, carefully blending it into where I've put the terracotta so it makes a nice colour transition, and you can really see the red of her hair coming out now. Be sure when you're adding this colour that the borders of where you finish are just lightly feathered out, so that the next colour that you mix in, you can feather in and create a nice gentle gradient between the two, so that the colour transition looks normal and natural and it isn't sharp. Colour transitions that look sharp make whatever that you've coloured look like it's a solid object, a solid shiny object. And colour transitions that are gentle tend to make them look softer and less metallic. Not to say that you don't have gentle colour transitions on metallic things, but it does help for some points, particularly with highlights, if the transitions are sharp. But on the hair we want them gentle, because the hair is a soft thing and it will reflect light softly. Okay, now you can really see what colour her hair is, because we've gone over it and really brought out that lovely auburn colour. Now I'm going to take my Indian red first and start heading towards the darkest points of the hair. Now I may or may not add more walnut brown. I'll just see how I feel with the depth of colour with this Indian, because we've already got a little thin layer of walnut brown over the base of it, so that may be enough. And to tell you the truth, I'm really liking just the shading I'm getting with the Indian red over the tips of walnut brown, so I'm going to leave it at that. You can see I'm going dark towards the outer edge to the ends, and then just blush it in over the top of the sanguine. And you've got this lovely, lively gold blonde, sort of auburny gold blonde colour. There, now you can see the effect that I'm after. It's lovely shiny hair. There are other things that you can do if you want. You can look at these strands and just pick out a few of them and add a darker colour along it. Just a couple, not all the way, just so that you leave a little bit of white in the middle. And for that I'm using the Indian red. And this will just give the hair a little bit more texture. So I'm just picking out some odd little strands here and adding that. Being certain to leave a little bit of white in the centre, so to show that there's still highlight there. This just gives the hair a little bit more dimension. You don't want to go too mad on this, just a couple. This one looks like a good candidate. You want to pick out the very thinnest of the lines for this effect. Debating whether to go with the dark chrome yellow. I'll just try and see what I think. If you're going to put the dark chrome yellow, oh yeah, actually I like that, just very lightly blush it in over the top of the highlights. Being careful not to venture into that white streak in the centre, and it'll just pop a kind of nice orange glow, orangey yellow gold glow on the hair. It'll just make that terracotta pop just that little bit more. It's very subtle, and I'm only kissing the paper with the pencil right now. No pressure at all. I'm just gliding the pencil over the top, and it's just It might be a bit hard to pick up on the camera, but for me it just gives it a nice glow. There. Don't want to press too hard or else you'll ruin the effect. Yeah, like that. There. Nice. Now, basically that's how you want to do the hair. So you've got the dark little areas sort of receding back and this lovely sort of line of sheen to make the hair look lively and healthy and shiny. And basically that's it. You rinse and repeat for the rest of the drawing. Now I'll probably put this as a speed colouring for this next stage where I finish the hair, just so you can see how I complete it without the video taking too long. we're about it, I'll finish off her eyebrows. So to do her eyebrows, I'm going to go a little bit darker than what you see her hair is. So I'll be using the walnut brown, and I'll stick with some of the reddish tones. So we'll go for the Indian red as well, and maybe a bit of a highlight with the terracotta. And I'll start off with the terracotta. So you want the highlight sort of in the upper middle section of the eye, just along here. Same on the other side. She has lovely thick eyebrows. Now the walnut brown I'm going to put right down the base. That would be where it was shaded the most. Dark right at the ends here as well, where it sort of disappears around the side of the face. Now finally, a little bit of the terracotta up here. And actually I might use the sanguine and just bring the walnut brown and the terracotta together. And that completes our tutorial on how to colour in hair. I hope you've enjoyed following along with me. Please experiment with different colours and with different faces to see what other kind of effects that you can achieve. Well, I hope you have fun with whatever colouring adventure you're currently on, and until next time, happy colouring. I hope you're enjoying any colouring adventures that you are currently on, and until next time, happy colouring!